Okay, grab a seat and let's get this briefing started. Now, this video is an extension on my previous video I've made that had general tips and tactics on how to take on Kaiser's Legion as, frankly, any nation in the wasteland. But I strongly believe that there's no one answer for all scenarios, and you have to look at what nation you're playing and what situation you're in and tweak your strategy to make it work. So if you haven't watched that video, I'll leave a link up here. You can go watch that and come back to this if you want. I'll also be adding some timestamps so you can skip back and forth to whatever chapters you'd like to watch. First, let's have a look at the situation I find myself in. Things didn't go great in episode 1, where the Navarre territories crumpled before my troops could even arrive to assist. This had a bad impact on me because not only did I lose out on all this land with its resources and workshops, I also lost out between 6 or 7 units that could have gotten for my army for free. I did take the Shi out because, in my experience, when the Shi takes Navarro, they generally go San Francisco Brotherhood, which I do not need the Lost Hills have any unnecessary backup that I can avoid it. Another thing that I'm going to have to face is not only a slightly buff Legion, but Lanius, after completing his mission here, decided to go west and rejoin Kaiser's Legion. Now that means that even if Kaiser does succumb to his tumor, there's a chance that the civil war won't kick off because he might take automatic leadership. I like the civil war happening because it splits Kaiser's Legion into normally 4 groups that I can then take out one by one. I will have to wait and see how that develops. Now, Kimball lost the vote of no confidence, so I lost the ability via the focus tree to take Baja. Not upset about that. As you can see, I've left Baja and the Rapids alone. My reason for this is, and the one that I advise, if you take all that territory, you then have this massive coastline all the way down here to guard for naval invasions. It actually ends up being 4 sea zones that you need to guard. So by not having that, I've cut down my coastline I need to protect by more than half, which I am quite happy with. I can always just retake them later once this bad boy has been dealt with. Right, so that's the basic scenario covered. Now let's have a look at the important things in these tabs that I've done to give me the best possible boost. I have made a priority via the focus tree to move as many of the debuffs that you start off with to get them out. But I have also done a bit of role playing as Hayes. So Drummond is my chief of the army. I haven't gotten the chief of the navy yet. I need to do a focus for that. I only get the one option for chief of the air force. As for my advisors, I went for Major Lawrence for the extra special forces and the 10% shorter training time, and then Major Abbott mainly for the minus 10% supply consumption, because I'm going to be fighting my way all the way down here into Mexico and all the way up here to Colorado. So that 10% supply consumption will help. For my researcher, I went with Ranger Jackson to start off with, but once my land doctrine is completed, I'm going to change over to George Jefferson to get increase power armor, attack and defense. I haven't really messed with the military policies right now. I'm happy with the way things are. What was very important was to sort out my economy, as that is a major problem you start off with. Using the focus tree, I jumped from complacent hegemony up to remilitarized economy, which I'm happy with, and using political power, I jumped from widespread consumerism to domestic austerity, I think that's how you pronounce it, which basically gave me an extra 60% of my resources at the cost of some construction speed, but I was able to get that back up from my research tree. These two advisors, Zachariah and Joseph, I unlocked via my focus tree. Also got rid of Mama Van Graaf, that's it. Got rid of her. Alice, I'm pretty sure I can get rid of her. I'll take care of that in the future if I can. For cultural, I only got Oscar Stone for the extra stability and to help out with my garrisons and root out my resistance. My scavengers were able to get ArcJack systems, which I have grabbed because it'll boost my air force. Golden Gecko is an all-time favorite of mine. Lock and load to boost my ballistic weapons, tanks to boost my tanks, and normally I would take the Victory Flyers for close air support, but wiping out Kaiser's gliders is more important for me, so I have gone with Air Aces to boost my fighters. As for decisions, the only ones I've really focused on is new citizen care package to bring down my resistance and raise my compliance in my captured territories. For procurement of things, I've only sent out power armor to scavengers. My experience, this gives you your best returns on getting things like ArcJack systems. I have been doing a lot of the development projects, especially the ones that give me boost to research. That's helped me out a lot. And then I still have to wait to do some battle plans to take out Lost Hills. I do have an intelligence agency, but they are purely focused on rooting out the resistance in the areas that I have conquered. That is their job, and that's what they'll be doing for this campaign. Now research. The first of the big advantages I have over Kaiser. This first research slot I have focused on support equipment. For role playing I went with LMG and frag grenade. I've pushed my anti-tank as hard as I can and will continue to do so for the piercing, and then my chems and logistics for obvious reasons. Under infantry, I've done the normal to get the nice passive boost for defense and breakthrough. I have unlocked the crowd control gear and have been producing it slowly for both my garrison but also for my templates later, and then I've been pushing to get ahead as far as I dare with my power armor. This is for two reasons. One, I love power armor, and two, it role plays with Hayes very well, as later on we'll be able to get into the sophisticated side of things. I have not unlocked the service rifle for one specific reason, and that is production cost. I need a lot of guns as the NCR, not only for my army but also for my garrisons. Now if you look at the three, obviously it's cheaper, and you can see it's half, 1.5 more, so it doesn't sound like a lot, but when you are producing thousands, then it makes a big difference. So that will only get unlocked later on. This research slot I have dedicated to my tanks and my aircraft. I have unlocked the Wasteland tank. It'll be the best one I'll be using, and this is what I'll be using to supplement my special forces when I run out of the cap. I decided to go with trucks over cars and bikes. purely because they have a better defense and armor. I need something that can not only attack but also defend, and my tanks will help with that breakthrough there. As for aircraft, I pushed fighters first before CAS to clear the skies of the glider, so that my infantry can not have to worry about that. And I've made sure that I have the maximum intermediate before the war starts. My next focus I want to do is the transport aircraft, so that I can keep my troops resupplied. This research slot has been dedicated to the industry branch. I've focused early here: tool production, generalized production, extraction and construction. This is so I can obviously build faster, get more resources, and increase both my output and my efficiency cap, so I can make as much as I can as fast as I can. For the engineering side of things, I've been pushing research speed, of course. I'm not really concerned about the actual range of my communications, although the reinforced rate and coordination does help. Main thing I've been looking for is the decryption and encryption to give my infantry that intel boost when they go into battle. And this last research slot I got via the focus tree, and that is right now going to be dedicated towards my land doctrine, which is refined warfare. I chose refined warfare not only because it's the only one that boosts special forces, but also because these army effects that you can see on screen now. When it says army, it affects everything. So it doesn't matter if you have tanks, militia, infantry, motorbikes, it's classified as army, and so they all get that boost. And refined warfare is one of the few doctrines that actually gives these boosts across everything in your army. I have also, leading on to the next thing, I've also, for these doctrines, been slowly unlocking for both the Special Forces Doctrine School and the perks. Don't discount these perks, they can be extremely useful in giving you an edge. For Naval Doctrine, I'm going to be going down capital ships and then the central branch for my screen ships. As for Air Doctrine, there's only one that I like to use no matter what I play, and that is Decisive Engagement. For me it just works. It's one I like. Now for construction, what I've focused on doing is building an even amount of both civilian and military workshops, and I've only been constructing in the states that have an infrastructure of 50% or more, so they can build as fast as possible. The reason I do the balanced approach is that if things don't go well and I lose territory, I will lose an even amount of workshops. Instead of, let's say for example, in Hopeful this was just armed workshops. If I lose Hopeful, I could possibly lose 10 military workshops, and that sucks. So that's why I go for the balanced approach. Another thing I have been constructing is 2 defensive lines. The one which is almost finished is here at Vault 3 and the Long 15. Again, if things don't go well, I have a fallback line here. And then my ultimate security blanket, if you want to call it that, is a defensive ring of bunkers and outposts around here at Shady Sands. If I can hold Shady Sands, I can still win. This is the be all and end all. If I lose Shady Sands, it's over Cadovers. Now for production, there's no such thing as too much. You may think that having almost 15,000 guns is good. Believe me, that is going to disappear real quickly once I start getting into enemy territory. So as you get factories, just keep on loading them in, keep on producing your equipment. Second big question, my templates. Now, I have gone over these before, they haven't changed, but I'll go through them one more time. All of them are 20 width. My power armor will be my main breakthrough unit. I prefer general purpose layout of 1 fire team and 1 demolitions, and they've got pretty good stats across the line. Organizations very high, so these guys will fight for long, and they'll only get better as the equipment gets better. The support companies, this is basically set up. I may add something in at the end, but generally this is good for the whole campaign. My infantry will be my holding the line guys, mainly been focused on the defense, but still general purpose, fire team with demo. Anti-tank is very important. It's on all my units to make sure I can pierce whatever I come across. Again, also a very high organization. And then my backup for when I run out of my special forces cap is my tank template. 3 tanks, 4 motorized infantry. 42 organization is good enough for now. It will get better, but I mean, look at that breakthrough, 181. Defense could be better, and if I was using motorcycles, believe me, that would be in the 60s. Comes with maintenance, can leave it on there. The biggest thing that will hamper my tanks is not getting them supplied, so they have logistics, and the reliability, so they have maintenance companies. So that's all that set up. Now, how have I set up my armies? You really have 2 options. One, you can make your army groups have ones with pure infantry for defense holding the line, and then have dedicated ones just of your breakthrough units to break the lines. That works in vanilla HOI4. In my opinion, it does not work in Old World Blues. In Old World Blues, you need more flexibility. So I haven't been sticking to a plan. As you can see here, as they've been produced, I've just been slotting them in. But it has worked out that there's just over 50% infantry and about a third breakthrough units. This will give me the flexibility of no matter what army I have, that I can still reliably break through Kaiser's line and carry on pushing. As for my traits, Drummond has, the most important thing I've given to him, if I can select it, there we go, is the heavyweight to boost my tanks. This is the only one that will give that boost to him, and also the improvisation expert for the land movement speed and logistics wizards again. So now already with logistics and my advisor and this, I'm losing right now about 30% less supply, which is good. As for my unit leaders, they will vary slightly, but the most 2 important ones for them to have will be Pain Train to boost the special forces and Mysterious Stranger to boost the infantry. Anything after that is a bonus. So that's my army. Quick look at the navy. Unfortunately, I only have 2 squadrons. The templates I'm using for that is 5 heavy ships, 10 mediums and 30 lights, to give me a total of 45 per squadron. As you can see, I haven't been able to make that on either 2. That is because I've had to direct more dockyards to create convoys so I can annex the Navarro territories back into the NCR. But they only really have one job, and that will be to patrol my coastline to stop Kaiser from getting naval supremacy and launching naval invasions. That's their job, nothing more, nothing less, and that is basically the only job that the Navy has in Old World Blues, is either supporting or stopping naval invasions. My Air Force currently have 4 squadrons in total, 2 fighters, 2 close support. I've attached them to my army groups so that as they move into Arizona, they will automatically move with them. When I have extra, I can set up dedicated ones to guard certain air zones, but right now keeping my army safe and supported is more important. And then last but not least, the big elephant in the room: how am I going to fight Kaiser? There are 3 strategies you can generally employ. The first one is not to get involved and sit here and guard the entrances into your territory. I will only do this if I am completely unprepared to face the Legion and I need extra time. It's the only time I'll ever do that. I do not like giving up the Mojave territories from a role-playing perspective. Also, to fight through these canyons and then over the river here can be an absolute nightmare. Second strategy is to hold this line here and just whittle down the immense amount of manpower that Kaiser has. That can work, and some people prefer that because then when they do attack, Kaiser is a lot weaker. Maybe they get lucky and the Rio Pact or someone from Mexico is now pushing up north and the Kaiser's fighting a war on 2 fronts. That's the second option, very viable. I'm going for option number 3, which is from day 1, hour 1, I'm going to push hard to get across this river. The Colorado is your biggest natural obstacle in this war. Once you have a beachhead in Arizona here, it's a lot easier. So currently I'm about 10 days, maybe 2 weeks away from the war kicking off. Right now, these 2 landings are very under-defended, whereas I have 2 full army stacks and one about halfway, and I want them to push hard. Then I do a standard push across Hoover Dam to keep them busy, as the AR generally puts a lot of units in here. Once I have gotten across here, I will slow things down. I'll form up an army group order. That's going to be critical to make sure my armies don't get jumbled up too much. But I'll form an army group order here and then start advancing into Arizona, and I will be using the supply map mode as my guide. I will be aiming small pushes towards all these logistic points. 3 reasons for that. A, it'll cut the supply to Kaiser. B, once they are hand over, it'll give more supply to my troops. And C, and most importantly, if you've played the Legion, you'll know a lot of their production is based around these towns with logistics. So by taking these out, I'll also take their workshops with them. And that is how I'm going to advance in the coming episode. Thank you very much for watching. I do hope this made sense to you. It makes sense in my head, and I hope the proof will be in the pudding when I launch my attack on Kaiser's Legion. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you then. Goodbye.